Page 65, French Minuet. On the previous pages, talk a little bit about music theory. I don't really teach music theory per se. I cover what we need to cover for the pieces we're doing, and that's as far as I take music theory. There are lots of videos available if you want to get into music theory. Have a ball. Well, I had 4 semesters of it in college, and that was plenty for me. I don't need more of that. On page 64, they're introducing a new kind of note called an eighth note. So we've had whole notes, half notes, quarter notes. Do you see a pattern here? Each one gets divided in half. So there's 2 half notes to a whole note. There's 2 quarter notes to a half note. We just keep dividing. Well, an eighth note. There's 2 eighth notes to a quarter note. And an eighth note looks like a quarter note, except it has that little flag on the stem. Or if you have more than 1 eighth note next to each other, they put a bar or a beam. I guess I should call it a beam because we got bars going this way and it gets confusing. So I'll call it a beam going across, although I think the book does too, calls it a beam. And generally they're beamed according to beat or feel. So here in this book, they're beaming him 2 eighth notes to a beat. It's a beat, or 3/4 time a quarter note gets a beat, so 2 eighth notes would be 1 beat, so they beam them that way. It makes them a little easier to read is all. Now there's different ways of counting eighth notes. The book uses the same method that I use and what I teach, and that is I simply put an and in between each number, because the number is the quarter note. That's what we're counting. 1, 2, 3, or whatever. We'll say 3/4 time for French Minuet. 3/4, so it's 1, 2, 3, 1. So for the eighth notes, we just stick an and in between. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and. So the eighth notes go twice as fast. Uh-oh. So on French Minuet, let's talk about it. We already know 3/4 time. Well, it's a minuet. Minuets are in 3/4 time. They're similar to waltzes. Not quite the same, but similar. In the right hand, you have all these eighth notes. Well, first off, forget all that. Let's just make sure we got the notes and the fingering and all that. So we're up here, we're in C position, and just make sure because the notes are all jumbled here. They're not like up and down and whatever. Here, and then you got an F and then a D. You don't have to go that fast, but make sure you can play all these notes because they may not be what you think they are. He's mixes them up a bit. In the left hand, you don't get anything. The second line, second measure, here, thumb. And so your left hand's here pretty much for the whole piece. So you're here. So work out, make sure you got the notes in the fingering, and then you can put in the rhythm if you need to. Well, if you didn't do it before. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. They give you the count in between them. They're just helping you out. Typically you won't get a count, and you have to know what it is. That's the idea this goes. Then when you can play it all correctly with the rhythm, then you put in the articulation. Well, here the only articulation are the slurs. So you connect them all. You get to the second line, second measure. Now lift up. It's like taking a breath. Lift up. You just lift up on the quarter note a little bit early, so there's silence before you say, so otherwise they're all pretty much connected. Now they give you a new dynamic at the top of the page. MP, mezzo piano, means moderately soft or medium soft or sort of soft. It's not as soft as soft, it's sort of soft. There's no set level. Good luck figuring it out. It's just sort of soft. Not soft, a little louder than that, but it certainly isn't loud, isn't it? Yeah. And the whole piece is that way, so medium loud. Speed-wise, it's got to flow smoothly. That doesn't tell you how fast to go. You decide what can you control and be smooth and even. The eighth notes have to be even. Now when you're first doing this, I recommend claps in the wrist just a little bit on each note. I'm exaggerating it for you because the motion is just a little bit. Just don't play with a stiff wrist. And if you speed it up a little bit, maybe you'll just collapse the wrist every other note or on the beat. Something like that. I kind of think that's sort of where they were wanting to go with this. So I'm just helping I'm using the weight to push the notes down anyway, and this relaxing the wrist like that is like a shock absorber, because you don't want to play with a stiff wrist. You don't want any tension any more than you have to so you don't fall off the bench. You totally relaxed as best you can. So forth. I'm just transferring weight from finger to finger. It's like rolling the arm here, except it's a very small motion, and I can transfer weight from any finger to any finger. Doesn't matter, it's still just a slight motion. When I add the wrist thing into it, that just makes it even more interesting. The point, I'm not using a lot of muscles to do this. I'm let gravity do the work. I would challenge you on this page to get this good before you go on. Don't sort of get it. Well, I got it pretty much. Get this one good. This is kind of important. We'd be able to do these long running eighth notes nicely. You don't have to go fast, but they need to be smooth and even, no hesitations or anything, all the way through. So you work that out. When you can get it nice and smooth and even, then come back and play it with me, and we'll go real slow to double check the notes and the rhythms. So I'll give us 3 counts, and let's try that. 1, ready, and go, and 1, and 2. Off. Now there's a duet at the bottom, so I'd like to play that. We play it together. I'm going to speed it up just a hair, not much. I'll give us 3 counts. Now I also need you to go up an octave. So rather than here, just pretend middle. See, it goes up here, and you play it all up here. So forth. So here we go. 1, and ready, and go, and 1.